I am Captain Steve Trueman. I'm 61 years old. I was in the Erie Canal, just above Albany. I've been in the commercial diving business my entire adult life, living and working on my various vessels in my company. I sold my companies in 2002 and started out on my retirement plan of building a tugboat museum. Not with my hand out for government funding, but only with my own monies, full-time efforts, and commitment. I raised and restored a 1930 tugboat, and then raised and restored the last of her kind, a covered railroad barge. Then I acquired a museum charter and gave 30,000 school tours for free. My expertise in raising, repair, and restoration of vintage vessels, bolstered by my record of success, cannot be challenged. Yet while in the Erie Canal, under a paid permit for 2 years to be there, the then appointed Director of Canals, Carmela Mantello, a woman who had sunken 4 of her own vessels due to neglect under her watch, costing us all millions of dollars, out of the blue decided that having someone on board 24 hours a day on my vessels was unnecessary. Dismissing all rational arguments as well as what has always been customary in the history of the Erie Canal, ignoring the fact that these 100-year-old vessels needed constant, full-time mechanical and security attention, having not one single law disallowing my actions, and most of all, I have a pile of law preventing such unwarranted, unfounded interference. It was Ms. Mantello's contention that being on my vessels was a trespass, that I was on private property, while being aboard my documented working vessels in navigable waters, I was trespassing? And she had me arrested by the New York State Police assigned to canals for this alleged trespassing on private property, continually maintaining that it was against the law and further maintaining that the Erie Canal belonged to the New York State Canal Authority, in lieu of the fact that the canal is public property and held in trust for the people of the state. She then requested and received at my arraignment, with no paperwork or rationale, a restraining order that blocked me from my vessels for years. It was New York Canal Authority, specifically Mr. Charles Randall, the head attorney for canals, that had testified previously before Judge Kahn that I, Steve Trueman, am, quote, the sole uniquely qualified expert in this field. And further, he stated that no one else in canals is capable of such an operation. This previous opinion now being ignored and obviously conferred this new expert status to Ms. Mantello. The day after my arrest, Canals delivered me notice that since I was unwilling to care for my vessels because of their restraining order, that they had taken over control, the exact wording in the legal definition of piracy, and again with no warrants or any form of procedure. Then Canals illegally boarded, cut off the locks, and looted my vessels. In the following years of litigation, and continually refused requests to repair, and continually refusing requests to repair and remove my vessels, they, through ignorance and neglect, turned my fully restored operational vessels into sinking scrap by deliberately setting the barge on the rock bottom of the canal and destroying her bottom, and the tug was found to have incurred over $300,000 worth of damages due to her freezing and inadequate care. This is a vessel with a replacement value of $5 million. I interviewed with many law firms out of Albany, but 2 stand out in saying that I had one hell of a case, but that New York State will never let you in front of a jury. I filed a case in the New York State Federal Court pro se, outlining the entire case, cited all the applicable laws and cases, including the constitutional laws regarding illegal seizure, the state's interfering with my commerce, and the invasion of my home. All my arguments would be compelling to any jury. However, New York Federal Court, Albany, before Judge Randolph Treese, disagreed and determined that I had myself arrested, and every written law that I asserted protecting me had no bearing. When I filed with New York State Federal Court of Appeals, naively believing that there was no way that even 3 New York State federal judges would not send this back for trial. But they rubber stamped that I had had myself arrested, and further, that it didn't raise to a federal case because my fully operational barge and tug were not in navigation at the time because of the ice. A view diametrically opposed to all federal maritime law. In the final realization that I was being thrown high on the reef and left for dead, I heard in the back of my head, "The state will never let you see a jury." Every dime I had was invested in these vessels and equipment, as well as my lifetime efforts in collecting, all intended to be gifted to the public, now gone, leaving me essentially on the street, my home gone, my business and equipment gone, no car, few belongings, as everything was inexplicably and illegally stripped from me. I am left without recourse. All this was done by officials in courts sworn to uphold and defend the Constitution. All because I broke the newly upheld law, she said so law. As we the people awaken, take heed, Congress, it would behoove you to listen.